Today is 1 year since the inauguration of President Joe Biden. It was a cause for celebration then and a cause for appreciation now. As we all know, much more needs to be done, but we have made great progress in this year. Just to say one of the most important four-letter words in our economy is jobs. And as you can see, and I hope you can all see, from 2020, this was the job situation, 2021, 6,400,000 jobs. An unemployment rate that has gone down to 3.4%. Millions more Americans back to work, 3.9% unemployment. And then now, of course, with legislation that's pending, we hope that when we have more access to child care and universal pre-K and the rest, many more people will be able to go to work, especially as the President continues to address the COVID challenge that we have that are keeping people out of work. But 6.4 million jobs versus this practically over 5 million, nearly 6 million jobs lost the year before in the previous presidency. So with that, many more people are availing themselves of the Affordable Care Act, and 200 million more people, 5 million more people are very proud of that. And having access to quality health care. Of course, more to come when we pass some version of legislation that is pending over the Senate side. We're very proud, and of course, almost a year ago, in March a year, we passed the rescue package. The rescue package put money in the pockets of the American people, vaccines in their arms, many more children safely back to school, people back to work. Enable cities and states and counties to pay for and support the systems that make societies work, whether it's the education of our children, the transportation of our people, of the first responders, our security, food workers, the list goes on, of services that are provided by localities and counties as well as states. They took millions of young children out of poverty. The rescue package did just that, rescued our economy, our society, and our people as it has also attacked the COVID crisis. As you all know, we've had a variant that has prolonged the crisis. We're very proud of the work that the President is doing now to make sure that people have tests and masks, and hopefully more people will avail themselves of vaccinations. More therapies are in the works, and in terms of not having to have refrigeration of the kind that is almost impossible to have throughout the world. We salute our scientists for what they are doing. Science and governance, that's going to be solves that problem. So for these and other reasons, whether it's broadband or clean water, as we know in the bipartisan, the first bill, the rescue package, was taking people out of poverty and money in pockets and all the rest. That was done with not one Republican vote. There were 13 Republican votes in the House to support the infrastructure bill, and we were happy that that was bipartisan. So we could repair roads and bridges, improve public transit, secure clean water, broadband, and much more across the country. So it's a great deal to be proud of. But as with all of this, we always keep an eye on what needs to be done to meet the kitchen table needs of the American people. What keeps them up at night, we want to help solve that problem. And one of the proud things about this administration is the creation of jobs, expansion of health care, and again, the alleviation of poverty. So with that, we'll go on to what we want to do next. There's no question last night was a disappointment. I support what the President said. He's disappointed but not deterred. We will continue the work. We will follow the example of those who went before us in terms of the fight for civil rights and voting rights is not to be deterred. So the fight goes on. I had the privilege earlier this week, the beginning of the week on Martin Luther King Day, to be with the King family, to be inspired over and over again, continue to be inspired by them, to the point of their Martin Luther King's granddaughter, Yolanda, who was 13 years old in 8th grade, talking about the future, talking with great wisdom about the future. So we're, again, always eager to do more, but nonetheless disappointed what happened. But I want to congratulate Leader Schumer for his courage for how he proceeded with this legislation. You had to have a vote. And what was wonderful to see was for almost 2 days to hear the Democratic senators talk about the sanctity of the vote and how fundamental that is to our democracy. It was so inspiring. Sad, though, to hear the Republicans argue against the freedom to vote and protect our vote. Whatever the outcome, the fact is that every Democrat voted, every Democrat in the Senate voted for the Freedom to Vote / John Lewis Voter Advancement Act, and every Republican voted against it. The process in the Senate leaves much to be desired. I'm going to talk about that with them later, but the fact is that it was an inspiring day, and I salute the chairman for bringing that important legislation to the forefront as he brought it to the floor. And that's a way to get it into the forefront. It's so important. But again, my motto is, some of you heard me say it, we don't agonize, we organize. And that's what we will do to, again, advance voter participation in our country. I was a former chair of the party, and our goal was to remove obstacles of participation for anyone, whatever their party was, to remove obstacles of participation. Instead of what the Republicans are doing is to put up obstacles of participation. So the fight for voting rights continues. We will not relent, and the fight goes on. So where do we go from here? As we have been engaged in all of these highly visible fights, discussions, debates in the Congress, we have been working in many cases in a bipartisan way to advance legislation which should be coming to the floor in the months ahead, as soon as we come to the agreement. First and foremost is the omnibus bill. I salute our chair, Rosa DeLauro, for the work that she is doing. This has to be bipartisan, and as an appropriator myself, from way back, I always say, left to their own devices, the appropriators can get the job done, and we will leave them to their own devices, and I hope that Mitch McConnell will leave them to their devices as well. We must get that done. It is important in terms of governance to get the appropriations bill done, the omnibus bill done, to fund the government. It is now the national security issue of the highest priority, with the threats that exist out there, to go to a continuing resolution instead of a decision-making omnibus bill is to weaken our security and our stability. The Republicans should know that, so we hope that we will be able to bring that legislation to the floor before it expires. Honoring our pact. This is another security issue. It's about the burn pits. This is something that members have been working on for a while, and now, yesterday even in fact, the Veterans Affairs Committee had around, Chairman Mr. Chicano had a round table with the VSOs, the Veteran Service Organizations. We thank our veterans and our Veteran Services Organizations for their input on this. As you know, many of our service members were affected by being exposed to burn pits, and we have to have legislation passed. It will be expensive, but it is the price we must pay, that we owe our veterans to make sure they get the care and benefits that they deserve. Those who are exposed to burn pits. And from our standpoint, if you were there, you qualify. We don't have to go through any torturous process to decide if somebody's illness depended on something that they were exposed to. That very important legislation, again, we're hoping all of this is bipartisan, the competitiveness bill. It has many names. It's about chips, about funding for chips. It's about research and development research. Very big piece of that coming out of our Science, Space, and Technology Committee under leadership of Chairwoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. It's about supply chain. It's pretty exciting, the competitiveness bill, and we're very close to being ready to go to conference with the Senate on that legislation. Postal reform, you've heard about it over and over again, but again, it's about fairness and making sure that we have fairness for our postal workers without having the retirement health benefits be pre-funded for 75 years up into the future. These are some of the items on the agenda in the very near future that have important ramifications for us. Very important in terms of all of this is what we do about any legislation we may have about the Ukraine, which is really about our security and our stability. Mr. Menendez has legislation in the Senate. We anticipate a companion bill in the House, but that's up to our distinguished chairman, Mr. Meeks, to announce. We have members have been meeting, committees, security committees have been meeting. We've had our briefings and the rest. And when that legislation is ready, whenever that may be, it could be next week, it could be next month, but whenever it is ready, we will go forward with legislation in terms of the stability and national security, whether it's legislation on robust Russian sanctions, assistance to Ukraine, again, our commitments to NATO and so forth. So that's dilemmas. Acknowledge and appreciate what Joe Biden as President of the United States, the difference that he has made, 6.4 million jobs, that is a nice ring to it. We want more, get more people back to work, and we have more access to child care and home health care so that more moms and dads can be in the workforce, and when we solve and crush the COVID crisis, which is a deterrent to people going to work as well. So we thank the President for his great leadership. We appreciate the leadership of Chuck Schumer in advancing the sanctity of the vote in the Senate and giving it the visibility that it would never have had without having a vote in the Senate. As we prepare for what's next on our agenda, we do so striving for as much bipartisanship as possible in terms of protecting honoring our veterans, protecting our country, again, funding the governance of our country. On a happy note, yesterday, Congress passed legislation to award Willie O.U. You know Willie O.U.?
Oh, yes.
You know Willie.
I did a story about Willie.
You just did a story about Willie. Well, you come to our office later today because we'll be signing the legislation. He was, for your information, Willie O.U. was the first black player in the National Hockey League. The Congressional Gold Medal, we voted on it yesterday. I'll sign the bill today. He was referred to as the Jackie Robinson of hockey. We can never have a meeting without talking sports. But the House passed the bill unanimously, which honors the contribution of a sports legend who broke the National Hockey League's color barrier despite being legally blind in one eye. Is that remarkable? So we'll have a signing. We don't tell them?
I don't. It's not. It's private.
Well, we'll let you know. Otherwise, we'll send you a picture.
He had four goals and 10 assists in 45 NHL games.
I'm sorry?
He had 4 goals and